Stand. Mike, would you do the honors for us?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Moment of silence for our departed and people that are in need of a little good thoughts. Thank you. All right. Attendance, I guess we're taking care of that. You got that, Christine?
Noggins okay?
Barely. They didn't find anything to get hurt.
Like I
Okay,
used to say to my son, it's a good thing you hit your head or you could have gotten hurt.
tell you a joke later. Correspondence. Do we have any correspondence as of this time? Okay.
Nothing, no foils, nothing.
Okay. Chief's report as submitted.
Good evening, kind of a short one tonight, just checking on the status, we've got three pretty major events going on with apparatus. So just looking for the status on selling the old Chiefs Trust. 243, you and I had spoken about another possible mechanic in
Yep.
Connecticut.
Yep.
And 146 moving forward with getting that scheduled with regards to the technical.
Okay, I'll talk about that during my report, okay? Fair enough.
We had, I forget what it was, 33 alarms for January. So we were on pace for another busy year, even just 1 month in. We didn't have any expenses this month. We got a couple of open items to clear up for the old checking account with Katie. And old business, the policies.
Okay, we will be talking about policies tonight, hopefully. Hopefully people have had a chance to look through and see if there's anything that they want to adjust or correct or add or whatever. I had sent a note out to the board days ago about being able to talk about that tonight, so I hope we can do that.
I'm just kind of wondering on that topic real quickly, there were no amended or red line versions attached to the agenda that went out, so was that distributed amongst the board members, like the firearm policies, that you all could read it to discuss it before tonight, or is this gonna be another where we drag it out till next month again?
I'm hoping not. I'm hoping not. I didn't see any red line. Did anybody send a red line version of the policies? Did you? Okay. So I sent to the board, I'll just go off topic here real quick. I sent to the board my recommended changes. Unfortunately, I take ownership of this. I only sent them today, so I apologize for them being out and cold. I mean, nobody's had a chance to really read them, I'm sure. I asked the board to make any recommended changes, but I didn't see any, so I don't know where we are with that.
Yeah, this
Anything else?
also, make the statements, I've done it regularly for the last almost a year at this point. It's extremely disrespectful that I went through 18 policies in 48 hours, redlined them, updated them, submitted to the board. Because if I recall, one of the members of the board, when I said that I would do this, asked me how long it would take me. And here we are almost a year later, and with 5 of you, with a handful of policies that needed to be reviewed, there's no status. And it almost gives the inference that your time was more valuable than mine, and I could be held to a different standard than you. And I just really find that extremely disrespectful. If you had been asking me for something for months, I don't think you would tolerate without some type of disciplinary action or a line in the sand to say, why haven't you gotten this done yet?
Thank you, and I say it often. I don't disagree with you. I can't disagree with you. You are right.
I would also like to hear from the other board members. I mean, yes, you do say that regularly, you take ownership of it. There's 5 of you up there.
Okay, we have a section in the agenda tonight that we will be discussing policies, so we'll discuss it then. How about that? Anything else on your report, sir?
That's it.
Okay,
Well, I'm gonna speak up because I did do a lot of these policies. I agree with Paul. There are 3 of them sitting right here that should be approved tonight. Firearms policy, workplace violence
I have the
policy.
firearms policy, I just couldn't, I don't have access to a computer where I can make changes on the actual form.
No, I'm just, let me finish.
And I took, Paul, I appreciate your input, and I did use what you said to put into the policy, because I didn't know, fire houses in New York State were sensitive locations. So I did use that paragraph that you put, and then I added something else on another part of it, and that was it. So I can show that to you tonight, but as far as me getting it out, until I hit my office, because I haven't been at the office, where I have access to the computer to make actual physical changes on a hard copy.
Okay.
It's
I'm
in
just,
writing.
I'm just saying, I agree with Paul. The firearms policy is one of them. Workplace violence could not be finished until the firearms policy was put in place. And the procurement policy, we still need to do. Now, those three policies have been sitting here since, I have to say, September. We need to act on them, period. There were two that were recently distributed. I sent them to the board. It's an investment policy that has to be in place because we have a bond and records retention, which I don't really think affects the membership so much. But the 100%, these three policies that I'm talking about should be approved tonight. There are three others that still are not up on the website. It's the substance abuse policy, the exposure prevention and decon policy, and the pregnancy and maternity leave policy, which all have been approved. And they should be on the site.
I didn't get the final version, so if you send them to me, I'm happy to.
I'll resend the email that I sent to you. But those three have to be up on the site. They've been taken care of. We worked on those. But 100% in agreement. These three policies have to be done.
Okay, we'll continue. We'll continue this during the policy discussion in a little bit, few minutes. Chiefs, do you have any expenditures you want to approve tonight? No? Okay, all right, we'll move
The
on.
only date coming up, March 17th, we're hosting the Mount Pleasant Chiefs monthly meeting.
Okay, do you need any, you don't need approval from us, but do you need anything for that?
Building.
Other than that,
Where-
consider it.
And
Grant.
and then I'll submit, because that's one of the refreshment expenses that usually gets reimbursed.
So that'll be next month, then you think? Okay, all right, very good. So there's no approval of expenditures. Anybody want to make a motion on the chief's report? Do we approve
Motion
that?
to approve the chief's report.
Second, please.
Second,
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, thank you. Good. Okay, approval of minutes, regular meeting, January 15, 2025. Everybody have a chance to read them? Anybody have any questions or corrections? Okay, I'd like to get a motion to approve them, please.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second, please.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say
I
aye.
have a question. One question. Christine, why aren't these meeting minutes going out as directed in the job description and pursuant to the open meeting law?
They're going out.
They have to be out within 2 weeks.
They are available within the minute. after
Okay,
this
well, I
meeting
would
is
like
done.
them posted on the website as a draft for everyone to see, please.
Within 2 weeks though, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is the 13th time I've asked it, so if that could be done, please do it. That's all I have to say.
Okay,
Was there an all in favor? for
I
that?
was just about to get back to that. All those in favor of approving with Nancy's addition, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, thank you. Okay.
No, I haven't had a chance to read them,
Okay.
and I think there's a lot of information missing, so I say no.
Okay,
Okay, so 4-2-1.
okay. Special meeting minutes, 1/29/25. Anybody have any comments, questions, corrections you'd like to bring up?
Those minutes are incomplete, and I would not approve them.
I
What?
wasn't present.
What's that?
I was not
Yeah.
present.
Right? How are they incomplete?
They're just your notes, Dwight. They're
But
incomplete. There was a lot of discussion regarding the bond.
Mhm. And that's
Um,
financial that I don't think we,
Well, you know, the board can vote.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying that I'm not in favor of those meeting minutes.
okay, is there something in particular that was missing from the minutes? Because I was trying to run the meeting and that.
No,
It was tough.
I understand.
yeah.
And that brings up the other topic. If the secretary is not going to be here, the whole board should know, so we should make arrangements to have a substitute and pay that person and adjust the secretary's salary, because it's very difficult, as
I
you know.
completely disagree, and I made it known
You were sick,
immediately
right?
when you scheduled it.
But weren't you sick or something,
I
or
was
you were
sick
out?
last meeting, and
Mhm.
when you scheduled it, I would have let you know that I was unavailable at that moment.
The
Yeah.
whole board did not know, so
Oh, yeah.
we could have made, I didn't know. Did anybody else know?
You said it during the meeting, one meeting. You weren't gonna
Yes,
give
I
an
did.
email or something?
Let's not
Okay.
argue. If
No.
the secretary's not gonna be here, let's make arrangements so that the information can be properly recorded. We have a huge project going on. This information must be accurate. So we could hire somebody as a substitute and adjust the salaries accordingly.
That's an interesting concept.
Salary.
That's an interesting comment,
That's all right. If
question.
you're here, you don't get paid.
Let me just finish. That's an interesting
Every-
Okay, let me put this to bed for a few moments. Was this meeting recorded? So,
No,
Unfortunately not.
no, it wasn't.
the-
We didn't
oh, that
have-
was the Ready meeting.
Yeah.
That was
it.
OACM. I'm sorry, I didn't see it here.
No, this was, you're talking about the special meeting.
Wasn't it?
Scheduled
That
a
was
special
a
meeting.
policy meeting.
Sorry, I got it wrong again.
Oh,
Okay, give me a second.
Betty's meeting was 2 times.
Right.
Okay, my mistake,
Which
my
we
mistake.
had a-
Okay.
issue with technology.
Okay, well, we can hold off on those until we find them to be more complete and we can approve them next month. Then how about that? Everybody agree with that? We
I
can
agree.
make a group.
Well, I think we'll disagree about the content since it wasn't recorded, so.
But we can
Well,
pull
I'm
together the
speaking for
correct
the
version.
board. I think the board needs to decide whether or not these meeting minutes are accurate.
That's my point.
Right, and
Exactly. We'll-
that's what I'm saying,
wait
is the
till next
board
month.
should, right, exactly.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so let's just push this off until next month.
Right.
Okay, treasurer's report, please.
Well,
There
we
was
have,
a-
we
there
have,
was
OACM, district OACM meeting minutes, which I think, thank you for doing that. We should have those that Christine distributed.
Mhm.
Um,
I
Okay.
didn't add it to the agenda because I prepared.
Okay.
them.
Right, I-
because there were two motions made, which there has to be a record of, so I appreciate minutes, and we should have
Mhm.
minutes of those OACM meetings for the board all the time. The only thing I'd like to have added to that were the work order change notices. If they can be added to those minutes, so we know what they were.
I'm not following what you're asking. The actual change order?
Yes. So if because we voted on them, they should be on there instead of just a reference to a number. This way we know what those change orders were and what the vote was for. So if you can
Like
add those,
insulation, for example.
yes,
Yeah, yeah,
So like,
okay.
yes.
I thought that was in there.
is gonna be discussed later. You want that attached?
I want the change, yes, the change order that was voted on should be attached. And with that addition, then I would vote to approve those meeting minutes. For the,
For OACM,
yes.
that one only. Okay, I didn't have it on my sheet here. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, all right. What was the date of that again?
210.
2 times.
Okay, I'd like to get a motion to approve the OACM meetings as amended from February 10.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, and second, please.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? Okay, thank you. That one is done. Okay. Treasurer's report, Katie?
Sure, we had since January 13th through February 13th in the main account. We wrote checks totaling $52,699.85, which are detailed in the materials distributed. In the capital projects account. Checks totaled 1.291588 spot 51. Detailed in the report sent by Christine earlier this week.
Okay, and for example, I'm just gonna pick out this big one.
Yeah.
The key construction, we have documentation from the project manager and who else signed off on that?
All the payouts are signed by the construction manager, the architect,
Right,
which is Wendell.
Yeah.
It's Kyle and Reddy specifically. Before they even cross our desk, they're signed off by them.
verified.
Verified, that's their job. And it's requested that we send those.
Okay, I'm just thinking that we're spending a heck of a lot of money on some of these payouts, and I'm just wondering if maybe we ought to, Ed, you and I maybe ought to just take a look before we pay them for, let's just say, bollards, the bollards that go to protect the building from getting hit by a truck. Let's just say, if they send us a bill for that, I think what we ought to do is periodically spot check them more often than not.
You should
Well,
check
aren't
every
Yeah,
bill.
yeah,
I was gonna
no,
say, aren't you doing that now?
We
before
should
you
You
sign
should
the
be
check?
doing that now.
we are checking well, we're not checking physically the work because, it's a job site. We're not actually going over there. But I think we should be checking more diligently than we have been for some of these big bills.
And the payouts, they never come in for one item.
Yeah,
They're-
it's a list.
Application for many things done over the course of the month.
The purchase of the steel, for example, or something like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
again, in my opinion, that is the construction manager's job.
Yeah.
You are not on site, you are not managing this project, nor am I. That is Reddy's
I don't
job.
think anybody is.
So
They also give certified payrolls for
But-
everything
Yeah.
that they do.
may I say something, please?
Sure, please.
So you should be going over these with Ready and saying, Ready, and what, you know, we paid this bill. At what point is this either completed or in process?
Mhm.
And, you know,
The
go
payout
down each
says
one.
it. The payout is detailed. It gives data, percentage complete. It is detailed.
Okay, well, if that's on there, then
It
you
is,
should be
yeah.
checking every bill.
Yeah,
So, I mean, so should you guys,
yeah.
right?
We do.
Nobody's looking for an argument. We're just
Yeah,
saying
no.
whoever signs that check should make sure what they're
Yeah.
signing.
And
that
you
they
see,
have- Yes,
when I sign checks, you see that I'm looking through all these documents.
Right,
that
but
I-
those-
For example,
Every bill.
yeah, but
yeah,
those checks,
exactly.
you probably need them in advance of just running through them.
it
at the
probably would
meeting.
make sense if we could have them a
I-
day before we sign them or
Well, I
something. I guess
thought
we
you
can
were
look
doing
at them.
that, but yes, definitely you should be doing that before you write $1 million check.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's something we'll take on to,
Do you think it would make sense to have, it's not onerous in this day and age. Do you think it makes sense to have all commissioners sign the payouts?
all commission, all five?
I mean, it's literally a
No.
dropout
No,
signature.
we're not close enough to it.
Yes.
I couldn't tell you one thing from another.
I don't know why you're holding like to that standard though.
Okay,
I
well,
don't care.
Well, it's
Thank
the
you.
project committee and.
yeah,
and
there is no
that's-
such thing as a committee. It was a thing created by Kevin. I'm sorry, yeah, Kevin, who said he wanted two people to be on the project, and that's where the word came from. And it has nothing to do with us signing off on this
Well,
project
before
individually.
a check in that amount
Oh.
is signed, definitely,
I brought it up. I agree with
no,
you
no,
100%.
well,
100%.
I thought you were doing that all along, so let's make sure that
Yeah.
that's being done,
It,
you know,
Yeah.
because.
I
mean, for example-
I got a problem with Kevin telling us how to organize ourselves.
well, it was just a matter, I told you the other day, he just didn't want all five of us wandering over there. He just wanted a couple of people so he could help us stay out of trouble over on the job site.
I'm just
That's
saying,
all.
okay,
Yeah.
and that's the way we're structured.
Okay, that's, okay. All right, anything else, Katie?
Katie, are we, in any line in the capital project, are we running low anywhere where we need to take a look at what those expenditures are, being used, well in advance of the project? In other words, are we running low anywhere, spending money, above where the projection is for this time? Does that make sense?
I'm not aware of any other than the ones that I've already identified.
I know legal fees,
Yeah, legal fees and civil engineering,
and that was because there was a contract that we didn't know about that expired.
right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now, the way the budget is running, we're pretty much on target. We're not low in any areas. We just need to figure out why we had that extra expenditure with regard to legal fees.
Yes,
Okay,
and I think it was just perhaps a incomplete budget, out of date budget.
Well, it was an oversight. We didn't add it to the budget. We didn't know, and I don't think his company knew.
so no,
So,
we're talking about legal
Legal.
fees.
okay, that's an ongoing issue then.
But
because we
I'll
have
do
issues.
a cost and compare to the budget, again, and update it and give you red lines, so you can see a bar
Because-
chart, but
Right, because we're
Gives you
gonna
an
have to
idea.
anticipate what the expenditures are gonna be from now to the end. I know that's difficult.
Yeah.
We know what certain expenditures will be for legal fees, but we also have to anticipate, we're going to have,
Shortfalls.
expenses, yes, definitely. So just, maybe bi-monthly, just let us know we're in good shape as far as the, budget is concerned with regard to the project. Or if we're coming up even 50%, at a 50% line for certain line items. So we know that we need to we should be keeping an eye on everything, but really watch out for what's going on in those areas.
sure.
Okay,
Yeah, and the
thank you.
contingencies running low, too, and,
Where are we at the contingency?
I think we're at 120 of 256, so that's gonna go very fast.
Yes, we have to keep an eye on everything.
Okay, I think I got two of these. Were there two change order proposals from Key or just the one?
I just saw one thing.
Yeah, okay, I thought it was just the one. Okay, good. All right, anything else, Katie? No, okay. All right, so, could we get a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented?
I make that motion and approve the treasurer's, Support.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, committee reports. Mine is pretty quick, and I hope I can remember the things you had asked for, chief. I'm sure. Okay, all right, the vendor for the radios, the new portable, Fireground radios, says that they'll be in a couple of weeks. He doesn't have an exact date. They're still trying to catch up, believe it or not, from the COVID, mess. The spare batteries for the Fireground, the existing Fireground radios, I've received them, and I'm gonna put them on charge and make sure they're all up, topped off before we put them out in the field. The siren, I have not contacted the vendor since we took the siren off the pole. But I'm going to contact him probably this month and ask him to start with a proposal for the new radio that will receive on the correct frequency range once the siren is reinstalled. So that's to be done.
The
Yeah.
drivers on that siren, or when we took it down, were shot.
How were they shot?
They were not working. Couple times that it went off, when it was still up, you could tell that the drivers were no good.
Okay, so I'll have him come and do a PM on the system.
And then I think that is something that we did on a fairly semi.
Yeah, I had him come, I think it was last year, and he did a PM. He also tightened up a couple of bolts that held it to the pipe, or the pole,
It sounded like some of them, I don't know if all of them, but it sounded like some of them were.
failing or
Yeah.
failed. Okay, I'll document that too. Okay, TL 27 nothing to report, 144 nothing to report, engine 146. The truck was serviced and found to have front and rear springs that are not up to spec, according to our, service guy. And he says that they should be replaced. So in discussion with the chief, I've asked the vendor to order the springs and they will install them as soon as they arrive. He has to let us know when that is. I haven't gotten back from, or he hasn't gotten back to me on that. The chief says he pointed out to me that the batteries on 146 were not charged to 100% on the little bar graph thing on the side of the truck. So I had them check that out and they replaced the batteries, but they also said that the charger is kind of faulty. It doesn't charge to the rate that is required in newer fire trucks. It doesn't charge at that higher current rating. So he's recommending that we put a new charger in there. The one that's in there is obviously as old, well, not obviously, but it is as old as the truck. And he's recommending that we put in a new one. So we can potentially do that after the springs are done, maybe on the same trip up there. It remains to be seen if he can get them, the springs and the charger at the same time.
Question about the springs.
Yes,
When
sir.
You and I had spoken, you had said, all you had said was Santos said the springs need to be replaced. So I incorrectly assumed that was springs were broken, cracked, rusted, whatever. Saying that they're not up to spec.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
I mean, I don't know when those springs were replaced. I mean, not in my tenure as chief. My concern is that truck is so tight coming into the bay. If we're putting in the properly spec'd springs, is that going to raise the height of the vehicle enough where we're now not going to fit it in this bay?
Excellent point. I'll ask him.
If you raise that truck an inch,
I know,
you
I
are
know.
not getting it in.
If Santo could give you a little more info as far as what they're not up to spec means, because that could also change some of our thought process.
Okay,
If it's passing its DOT inspections and it's a safe vehicle, it's just not up to spec, then Mike and I can have a conversation about the best way to approach it, whether or not we replace them until we've got a place with a taller door to fit it. If it's a hazard or a risk, obviously that has to be replaced ASAP.
that's what he said. He didn't actually use the word spec. I'm trying to cover what he said by using that word specification. He said they're not good. I think that's his words.
Okay.
And I'll have
We
to find
just-
out what that
yeah,
means.
We could clarify a little bit, because again, if they're broken down, so the truck is sitting lower, which would make sense if a spring is broken.
Yeah.
Then new springs are gonna sit the truck up higher, which is obviously a
No
major
good.
concern.
Yeah, no good. Okay, I'll pose those questions in a follow-up phone call. Okay, so now the bad news with that truck. While it was up on, I guess, their lifts, he says that some of waterways, to and from the gauges, to and from the valves and the inlets and the outlets, he says are corroding badly. And he says that in some time in the near future, we're going to have a catastrophic failure. So I'm assuming that means primarily on the output where the pressure is greatest. He also indicated that the front suction pipes are corroding. And so it's one of those things where how much is it going to cost to Band-Aid these things? So I've asked him to kind of give us some kind of guidance on what it's going to take to get it so that it doesn't give us a catastrophic failure in the next couple of years. But it's kind of like asking him to read a crystal ball that he doesn't have, I'm guessing. He's going to do his best guess and give us an answer as to what needs to be done first, and we'll have to go that route.
I don't think we can afford not to.
Yeah.
Replace the piping.
Yeah.
And I think depending on how he responds to your question, I would have posed it a little bit differently. What would it cost to replace the piping? That's that simple, because I don't want to be putting a piece of apparatus that's been Band-Aided to get us over the next couple of years, pumping in a fire. And
Okay,
we're down to an engine, and that is a reserve engine, because 145 was never replaced. So, and it's 2 to 3 year
Yep.
build time for anything that we would consider getting, whether it's a tower ladder, a tanker pumper, a combination of the two. So I don't think we have a choice but to repair 146. The only thing that I would, again, reiterate that I think is open for discussion is the springs, basis his response to what is actually wrong with the springs.
this will be another conversation I'll have with him tomorrow. Okay,
Just.
Yes, sir.
Again, just to back up kind of what
Mhm.
Paul was saying, some of the answers that we need for this stuff, like we need answers, not maybe, like, are the piping, is it shot? Or, and again, I know we can't guess what happens in the future, but if it is fixable, that is completely different on our view than the actual pump itself is shot and we can't, it's dead in the water. So these are decisions, because right now, even though that's a reserve, quote unquote, reserve piece, that is probably one of the engines that goes out the most during the nighttime, daytime.
mhm.
And yes, that is a issue that we're trying to work out as we speak, but having some answers and not the kind of up in the air answers is something that would help us. moving
Agreed,
forward.
100%. And I'm sorry that I was not completely, I wasn't recording the conversation, so I'm trying to remember it as he said it. So I'll get more details, and if you guys would, either of you would like to pose questions to him, either email or on the phone, we can have a conference call. So we get it clear and nailed down.
Thoughts tonight, I'll send it to you into my, jump on, add anything that I missed, and then we can use that as the document, because that's.
I'd appreciate that very much.
And again, the questions will be blunt.
Yeah.
Not like, well, what can we get away with? What is it gonna take to fix this, to
Mhm.
keep it a safe apparatus?
Yep.
That simple.
And the same thing with the spring. I mean, I
Agreed.
like Hudson Valley Fire Equipment, like they do a very thorough and good job. But the town uses for all their heavy springs, a place up in Danbury,
Mhm.
that even for a second opinion. Again, what is out of spec versus what is safe and reliable, and can we still use it?
Are the town uses that place in Danbury? It's right off 84, right?
It's right on, yes, yeah. I think
Okay.
Exit 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And
Are they
like they do truck spring.
DOT certified and all? Okay.
And they build
So
them
that's a
there,
good,
so they can build you essentially whatever you need to meet the specifications. And they actually take some of our trucks that come in brand new and they kind of bump the springs up a little bit. And again, they do heavy equipment springs. So again, this spec springs that are on that, if it raises that truck up an inch,
Yeah.
inch and a half, 2 inches, which is not a lot, we have a major problem because we can't fit that in.
I know that.
And we can't even kind of move everything, move anything around to fit it somewhere.
Okay, thank you. Yes, if you can get me any verbiage, that would be great. I'm not gonna hold you to tonight, but if you can, great, okay. 243, I spoke to the guy He was on vacation last week. I spoke to him before he went on vacation. He was on vacation all last week. I haven't had a time to reach out to him again about servicing 243.
Just for the other board members, Pecantico Hills has almost the sister truck of 243. They, with the last 5 years ago, did a full refurbishment of the truck. So I reached out to the chief to say, hey, who do you use for maintenance? And he recommended this gentleman in Connecticut, only about an hour away. So from a cost perspective, if this is somebody who we want to go with, cheaper than trucking the truck all the way out to Pennsylvania, flatbedding it, whatever the case might be. And if they're that close, maybe they could come by here to do a quick, give us a second opinion assessment type thing. And the fact that Pecantico Hills used it on basically the same exact piece of apparatus gave me a pretty strong comfort level.
I did ask him if he can come here. He was non-committal. He was about to go on vacation. I called him, I think, on Wednesday before he went. So I'll reach out to him tomorrow, I guess. I'll do my best to get to him tomorrow and see what his opinion is. He's in, I think the town is Bethlehem,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. It's just a little bit north on the map. It looks just a little north of Danbury. That's
It's
about
only
where.
about an hour of what I looked at when I
Yeah.
looked at it.
Well, Danbury's 45 minutes, so that makes it in that range. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And utility 206. So I opened an account online with the auction site, and I've reached out to the guy that has sold our previous surplus vehicles. And I told him that we had a interested buyer in Pennsylvania from the last people that bought the last truck. So he's going to come by in the next day or two, and he's going to take a look and take some photos and start posting it online. I may have it here. I think I do. I do. There was a lot of legalese here that I have to fill out for this online outfit. So I didn't pursue that. I got this stuff like 3 days ago. There's 3 pages of legal stuff that I have to go through. And so if we can do that, fine. But if the guy that sold our trucks in the past, apparatus in the past, if he can do it without so much of work on our part, then that would be kind of nice.
Do you know what his cost is?
No, I don't. I do not.
I actually reached out to somebody today. I sent Paul, his proposition as well. And he can do the same thing. And
You're talking about the local guy or the guy, the auction house?
The chief in, he's a Bridgeport firefighter. He's also a chief in purchase.
He has a company.
Similarly, he has his business on the side.
So he has a company that he does consulting, sales, stuff like that, and his
What's the name of the company? I don't.
state line fire, hang on, I wanna say it correctly.
Let's see if you gets to it first.
I'm not aware of this outfit.
His name is Tim.
State line buff apparatus consulting.
Okay, I know him.
So he sent me his, price and his proposal to you guys. I can email it to you.
Would you?
Print it.
Yeah, we might as well send it to the whole board so we all can see what's what.
And seems pretty reasonable and probably cheaper than,
The other local guy that we've used. I don't know what the local guy charges. I know we got a pretty fair price for the last vehicle we sold. So we'll have to see. Okay, if you can get that to us, that would be great.
Traditional,
Yes.
the buffer pays.
Yes, right. I was gonna get to that. So, the buyer pays, if, for example, if the auction sells, if this auction international outfit sells our vehicle for $10,000, their commission is like 300 or 3% or whatever. I don't remember what it is. And it doesn't come out of our money. It comes out of the buyer's money. They have to pay that in addition to what they pay us, which is kind of nice. Okay, and, I think I hit all your items there, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, okay, that's my report for the evening. Next one is Commissioner Frank.
Okay, so starting with technology. I met with Scarsdale Security Tech a week or so ago to get some things corrected. And he was here for a while. Some things he was able to do, other things he was not. and he told me that the system is 10 years old. We should start thinking about maybe when the funds are available to replace it and update it. And then, I guess as you all know, only the commissioners are allowed in the room where the equipment is. And so we made the suggestion to him that a substation be placed in the chief's office. So the chief, anytime he wants, can check out any of the sites on the monitor. And so he's looking into it. He has to get prices from his sales department, cost of installation, cost of material. And once that's done, the chief will have his own access to the computer and the screen, all of the different security cameras. So that's what's going on with technology.
Quick question on that, Ed, because Dwight and I had spoken, because this all came about, Mike Desi and I needed to check some information on the cameras. And in speaking with Dwight after Scarsdale Security had mentioned that there was talk about having to run cabling to our office to connect into it and all. From a practical cost savings perspective, when the new building is done, our office isn't going to be upstairs. So if we're looking at running wires and labor and stuff like that, that's a throwaway. Because that room will be either come public space or short answer, we're not gonna be using the computer up there. Are we better off to wait? Or move that computer in here where Mike and I have access to this room because we have the key for that door, but not for the commissioner space, just to save some money. Instead of spending a couple of $1,000s for 6-8 months of functionality when it won't be useful for us in the new building.
To that point, when the commissioner, I'm sorry, when the security guy was here, he said that it would require our computer people to do something to the computer in there before he could add another video output and also connect it to the internet, if we wanted to do that too.
What's in that room that's so sensitive that you guys can't have access
All
to?
those locked files,
Yeah.
I mean, there's things in there that we shouldn't have, and that we want to keep locked, like for instance, personnel files are not something that should be accessible to anybody outside of here. And, you know, if there's anything from a legal perspective, executive session notes, stuff like that, that we shouldn't have access to. And I don't personally want to have access to that room.
So I think along those lines, I'd like to poll the commissioners and maybe even have a vote. I would like to give the chief the option to be able to use that system out here where he does currently have access. Does anybody have any problem if we were to get that system on a table, desk, whatever, out here, so he has visibility to it?
That's fine.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Sure.
Okay.
Does it also make sense to have the chief the functionality to be able to rewind
Well, that's what his ideal is.
and
We're
record?
experts at it.
Yeah, he's able to go back in time and look at specific cameras to get.
Okay, because this sounds like you were just giving them
No,
the
no,
screen.
No,
no,
it's-
he wanted to, there was something
Absolutely.
historical he wanted to go look at.
Yeah.
He was able to do that while I stood
That's how
over.
we found out that the older cameras, the outside and the bay ones, the clock was off by a couple of hours because we were trying to sync what we were seeing inside versus coming outside of the building.
Gotcha.
Because they're not connected to the internet, what is it, NTC?
Intranet?
Internet, the World Wide Web and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
The DLLs, which drive a lot of the functionality, were not updated on the
Yeah.
older cameras to access the real-time
Got
functionality
it.
of the clock.
And he's also gonna give us a price on upgrading the software to be able to do that kind of thing and rename the cameras, because right now they're just scattered. And the new software supposedly gives us the ability to, if somebody walks in the back door, the camera at the top of the stairs, the camera in the hallway, the camera going down the front stairs, it apparently is allowing us to track a person as they walk through the building.
Cause
With
some,
new software.
some of them are named and some of them are just
Exactly.
numeric.
Right, and that's one of the
So
things
we
that the
should
new
probably
software.
standardize that.
All the cameras are named when you're looking at it on the screen, but it's kind of obvious, you know what you're looking at.
Yep.
Where it was, in order to choose the right camera, those are numbered, not, so they either need a map to say camera one is the
Yep.
inside staircase,
Yeah.
camera two is here, or rename camera one to say inside stairs, camera two, kitchen, whatever.
Mhm. Yep.
Right.
Understood.
Again, it's nothing that I see a need to spend a ridiculous amount of money right now.
Mhm.
As long as, and again, Dwight was very accommodating to let Mike and I in the room a number of times while we were researching this particular incident. We can definitely live with that, but you know, again, if we needed at 2 o'clock in the morning, obviously prefer not to have to wake everybody up to look at something.
Understood.
And we appreciate you're not waking us up for that. So I would like to get a motion.
Some more to say about it.
Okay. All right, go ahead. What?
I want
You want to
know
wait? They may be
attention.
back, you know.
Well, they're on a call.
Yeah, so, what the chief was mentioning, instead of numbers, names, even though, as he mentioned, it's pretty obvious what you're looking at. And the tech was unable to do that because the equipment's outdated. So, you know, it's something to think about. But once you take a look at, like 16 screens, you know, you're looking at the lunchroom, you're looking at the hallway, you know, it's,
Okay,
but now, I just want to understand this. So if we get a substation set up out here, that's fine, that's a good idea. Since the chief's office is going to move, at some day, should this substation be disabled? And then the new substation be in the new chief's office, wherever it is.
I don't know that answer. I don't know if, I mean, certainly we can give the chiefs access to it now. And I don't know if we want to do a substation or if we want to just physically move that equipment, like the monitors out here, the keyboard and the mouse. I don't know. I don't know. That's to be determined, but ultimately it would be a benefit to the chiefs to be able to go back in time on the cameras and research what they need to research.
Lock down the sensitive information. I don't, there's,
I think they are lockable, but it's just a matter of we have to decide. I mean, Nancy, you've been the secretary here for years. How would you prefer? Would you prefer to see the computer and the keyboard and the mouse and the monitor out here? Or would you be okay with giving the chiefs access in there and locking everything down a little more securely?
Move it out here. The chief already said he's not comfortable going in there, so give them access out.
I think I'd just let's even do that if it's not too pricey.
I put it out here, absolutely.
All right, we'll just have to find a place, another table or something.
So at some point,
Just replace one of the screens with this.
Absolutely.
And we could use one of the screens or take
Take it out.
the video out. It's
See.
still recording.
Yeah, well, of course.
It's just, you know, then you could use the screen for other things.
Sure. Okay, that's, you know, a technology thing that we'll leave in the Scarsdale Security's hands and you guys can decide the best course of action.
okay,
All
so
right, but I'd like to get a motion to do that. Is everybody okay? Do we need a motion to do that? All right, can somebody make a
Well,
motion?
we're spending money, and I don't know how
But
much
it's only,
yet.
it's not even so much wiring as it is just a table. We have tables upstairs and downstairs. Just put a table here, a monitor, and then bring the computer in.
Should we make a motion not to do it, but to have another discussion with Scarsdale and see how they recommend doing it?
I have
Maybe
no
they
problem.
might have another solution.
Maybe
They might
Wi-Fi?
have- Maybe
Maybe.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Right, rather
Okay.
than running cables.
All right. Okay, let's hold off on the motion. That's a good idea, Charlie. Why don't we do this? Why don't we get Scarsdale to give us an idea? They have to come back anyway to upgrade the software. They said they would.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's gonna be a fee, but they're gonna update, okay, and it gives us the ability to name cameras. and
But at
things.
least you can ask a
Yeah,
question and
and
say,
absolutely.
hey, this is what we plan on doing. What do you think is the best approach?
Yeah, so they can tell us if we want, run another Cat 5 or 6, whatever it is, and,
Yep.
or Wi-Fi like.
Well, Wi-Fi, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense.
They might
Okay,
have a Wi-Fi solution.
Sure.
I'm sure they do.
no doubt. All right, anything else, Commissioner Frank?
No.
Engineering, project, building,
Well, you know, I do have some information on projects, you know, I guess as we all know, we had some pretty unpleasant weather with very high winds, trees came down and whatnot. And Monday morning, then I saw that the chain link fence on King Street was over. I immediately notified Dwight and Reddy, and you put it up temporarily.
Mhm.
And then Reddy, and you'll see there's new sandbags out there.
Good.
Hopefully that will hold it. So he did what he thought was necessary so that the fence does not once again fall over.
Okay.
And due to all this ice that's out there, it's really, you know, it's hurt the schedule. And they're thinking, you know, for what has to be done, that you know, they really can't dewater puddles because the puddles are frozen thick ice. So I know the weather is going to be getting warmer, and so they're thinking that certain things they may have to wait for the ice to thaw and resume work on this coming Monday. Unfortunate, but you know, that was some bad weather and wind.
Yeah.
So that supposedly, you know, the schedule was that structural steel would be coming in on March 3rd. And so we'll have to, you know, wait and see what goes on with that. So
May I ask you a question on the
Sure.
frozen ground? Driven by a couple of times during the day, the days are getting longer, the sun is high and hot. The field is turned back to mud during the day. Wouldn't there be any benefit to them opening up, untarping these frozen areas, let the sun get at it and pump it out 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon when it has stayed water to clear it off the site instead of, well, we're gonna wait till Monday, we're gonna wait till Monday. Because the longer the water sits there, the longer it's under these cold temperatures, the longer it will take to thaw when it finally is exposed.
well, that's a good idea.
I thank you.
Yeah, it's
I have
definitely a good
engaged.
idea. I will speak to Reddy tomorrow morning and make that suggestion. Thank you. So in terms of, by the way, in terms of that arsenic area, you know, originally going back to the days of the Chappaqua Animal Hospital, it was left there because it was underground. There was going to be a driveway over it. But Dwight and I, especially Dwight, being, you know, thought that, you know what, who knows, maybe someday the driveway would have to be dug up. And so we should get rid of it. By the way, leaving it there was approved by the town of Newcastle. That was not our decision. It was approved by the town of Newcastle going back to the days of the Chappaqua Animal Hospital. In reference to the ice again, Tolt Electric is going to be assessing if they can resume their electrical conduit work. The town, DPW, Department of Public Works, is still reviewing the sewer conditions and there to advise on steps moving forward with the connection work. The sewer permit application is to be signed off hopefully this week and issued to the project team. And various other of the subcontracting work is continuing on, the plumbing, et cetera, the electrical, and all this other stuff. You know, it's moving along a little slower than we would have liked, but it's moving along. That's pretty much my report.
Okay, thank you.
On the project, since, there's a crane going to be moving in very soon, I think it's time for another, notification to the neighbors and the, people in the area of the changes that they'll be seeing very soon.
Move steel trucks, delivery.
Yes,
Yeah.
so there's going to be visible changes in that area. So I think it's time, and the chief also suggested it, to have another newsletter or notification go out to the neighbors in the adjacent area. Maybe do a walkthrough talk. Charles and I did it, when we did the first one, just to let them know that in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they're gonna see a crane, they're gonna see steel coming in. Masons, are going to be there and walls are going up. So if something like that could be done, maybe Christine, you could
Yeah.
help, and get that out. It
And
would be
there may
great.
be activity,
Big
more
activity,
activity
right.
on Memorial Drive even.
Yes.
The trucks exiting.
Huh?
Yeah, with the trucks exiting, probably, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because what they're doing, well, what they did with the last, when they were moving the dirt, they kind of drove through.
Right. But that crane's
I
gonna
was
take,
wishing they'd drive
yeah.
back, but
yeah,
they actually, you know what, they actually asked me the last time, and they were like, hey, do you want us to wash the tires
yeah,
before we exit on,
They're supposed to.
they are.
well, they weren't going to until I said, but they asked.
On a similar note, a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks, I sent you a quick note that there was a person dropping their kids off from school parked in front of the gate. Just if provide Oak Lane a general reminder that, that is an active driveway and they shouldn't be dropping, their kids off.
Or parking in front of the gate that needs to be opened in.
As hard as times I get ready about the workers parking there, we have to be just as fair with keeping it clear for them to exit.
Okay. Another note,
Do I
sir.
So a lot of things that are just mentioned, that the town supervisor puts out a weekly report.
Mhm.
And all of these items we should submit to the town supervisor. And she will have them put in the newsletter. A lot of people read
Sure.
the weekly newsletter and that I think is the best
It
way,
augments.
I think.
Well, there's
you
a
know,
construction corner where this
Yeah.
information,
Right.
I give her a
yeah,
weekly
that's
update
there every week.
every
Right.
Tuesday,
So, yeah, well, so
and
let's
that's in there.
let's
Yeah.
ensure
Right,
that
and
we
steel.
do a couple of things like alerting in the next newsletter that you put out, or maybe you can update before the next one, which is Tuesdays or Wednesdays? You do
They want it Wednesdays, but I usually give it to.
Tuesdays, right? Okay, so if you can give them an update saying that in the next weeks, we're going to have trucks.
It's actually been in there for the last 2 weeks that the crane is coming and the
Okay.
steel
I haven't-
and the date.
Honestly, I haven't been reading, I
Well,
just know
that's
you
why
do
I
a good
think
job. but
It
I
would
didn't
be,
read
it would be great
Okay.
to have that personal newsletter
Yeah,
go
you
out,
can
it's just
certainly
like,
do that.
you didn't read that.
I,
It would be, no, I'm just saying, you didn't see it, so that's why I think a more personal touch of getting.
and I was about to mention to Christine that I'd like to have you do some boilerplate like you did the last time with that picture, but it with updated
Like
to
the one
include
that we
this.
did in August.
Yes, to include stuff like
Sure.
more activity, crane, steel deliveries, things like that.
Because then even in addition
That
to
we can hand
like
out.
100 immediate neighbors.
Yeah.
just to hand it to them. Maybe give 50 of them specifically to Oak Lane and ask them to include that with their weekly packet they give out to this is what we did in nursery school this week.
Mhm.
This way, the parents who may or may not be in the area that we're trying to reach will get this, say, okay, there's gonna be more activity here, just so they're aware.
Okay, point well taken. Thank you.
So Christine, that information that you're providing to the town, that's good.
Yeah, I work
I
with
even
Ready
read
every
it.
week. Well, thanks.
Okay,
So I do it weekly with Ready.
we were done.
So I think I'm finished.
Okay. Commissioner Roush.
Yes, busy month. So we started off with the kitchen upstairs. And we cleaned out a lot of the old pots, pans, things that were just nasty. In doing so, because we removed a lot of the stuff out from under some of the tables that we have, the stainless steel tables and around the sink, we noticed that there's some really nasty stuff going on down by the sink, which is next to a grease trap. So Nancy contacted the town, or
Well, we're a commercial, building, so we can't have it removed.
so we can't remove the grease trap. to have grease go into the drainage system. So, we also contacted a cleaning company, instead of Arco, to specialize in cleaning and getting rid of the grease. Try to make the tiles look better and try to make the grout
Hmm.
look better, because if you go under there, it's real nasty, and also, other areas of the kitchen. So while we were doing that, we found out that this company that we were looking at said that they can do what Arco does and do it better and cheaper. And they also do, instead of us, or I think Nancy does the purchasing, right, for the,
Mhm.
the liquids
Supplies.
and the paper products, right, the soaps and things like that. They come and they do their products, which are commercial grade products. They will fill up all of those soap things. They'll give us dispensers. They will maintain all of that and
Hmm.
include it in the price. And right now, Nancy said, as we order things, we might not need toilet paper, say, the beginning of the month, the end of the month we do. And as we're ordering, it's expensive for shipping. So we're paying a lot of money, not only for the products, we're paying a lot of money for the shipping. Where they come in with a team just like Arco does, and they will take care of all that for us.
Hmm.
And they'll do Center Street as well.
And they're price competitive or better?
Price competitive or better.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do we have a
we're still
contract?
working out some of the numbers. I got an initial proposal,
Okay,
didn't include Center Street.
Okay.
And I'm looking for him to give me Center Street
okay.
before I come out with something.
Do we have a contract with the current people?
There was a
Or
bid.
is it a month by month?
Well, is there a contract in there? Because we couldn't find
There
it.
was a bid at one point.
Okay, so
and
we
they're
can't find the
supposed to do
contract.
Prevailing wage.
Right, we can't find the contract, so I've been in contact with Arco and have asked them to submit, to send me a copy of what,
Okay, what
what
they're
the
working on.
district agreed to. Right.
Okay. All right.
So we might be on month to month right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so
Okay.
we'll look at
Alright.
that contract when it comes through.
That's a good find.
We also contacted another company for the 3 bid. They weren't as strong as the first one. And then I contacted a third that does like restaurants and commercial buildings, and they said they're more interested in doing restaurants and hotels and hospitals.
Hmm.
They're
Okay.
looking for the big stuff.
Okay.
So, met with them twice talked to them on the phone, and met with them 3 times. In the beginning of the month. What else? We had problems with the boiler again.
Mhm.
Robeson just isn't cutting it. They came in and replaced some circulator pumps. They put one in, well, one they said was manufactured backwards. And then they put one in backwards. So now we're still waiting for them to come back and fix it. We've had problems with, the heat up here, air getting into the system. The guy, well, I'll let that go. Air getting into the system. And we keep having to bleed it. That's why some of these radiators are out, because I don't want to mess up the carpet, constantly pulling them out and ripping it. So I kind of left them be for the time being. We've called, Robeson, like 4 times,
4 or
5
5
times?
times, yeah.
And they keep coming back and looking at us like, we don't know. So, we contacted another company, at the recommendation of, John Nisman. I saw him across the street one day with Owens. And he gave me a company, what was the name? Not Merit,
I don't have the name.
it's off the top of my head right now.
No,
I can look at it.
I don't have it.
I'm sorry?
No,
No,
no.
they're in Bedford Hills. And Connecticut and Danbury. Just give me 1 second. So anyway, long story short, they came in and they said, look, we have an idea what's going on. They showed me a bleeder valve that's like tucked up next to the ceiling downstairs in the basement that is for this room that bleeds air out of the system. It was painted over. So the bleeder valve is probably shut. and is not bleeding any air, which is why we're having problems here. So I'm starting to look at them as maybe somebody that could do maintenance for us. They also do, delivery for diesel. We met with them like 3 times and, they're gonna put together a proposal for us. They're gonna put together a course of action that they think that they need to keep the air out of the system. They're gonna have to, he showed me at the bottom of at the bottom of both boilers, there's a bleeder valve. There, old sludge just came out of it. So I don't know if you remember, we've been dealing with this for a while. We said muddy water, right, brackish water coming out. That's due to the pipes. And not the pipes because they're cracked underground. It's because they're old cast iron pipes and they're just releasing all their crap.
With the diesel,
So they have a way, I'm sorry,
the diesel for out vacuuming for the generator, correct?
generator, yes, and also for the heating.
Is that anything that we could be and should be buying on state bid?
I don't know, we use Robeson right now and we've always used
What I mean.
Robeson.
We could ask if they could meet those prices, you know, but we'll see. I don't know what the contract with Robeson, do you know anything about
No, I
that?
don't. That was,
What we pay for diesel and gasoline through the town on state bid is substantially less expensive than market.
okay, well, that's another thing.
We'll look into it.
Check it out. So we'd stay with a state bid contractor for fuel oil, but maybe this new outfit for maintenance, or do they do?
I could
fuel
see,
oil as well?
I could see if they'll do,
Both?
or yeah, if they
Yeah,
do
I
both.
mean, they may already have a state,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
but they may not be on the contract, but they may meet the state.
Yeah, so they're gonna
pricing.
come back to me with that, because that was one of the last questions they asked me
Good.
before they left. Hey, who does your heating oil? And I told them Robeson.
Awesome.
So they said they'll put something together for us, or,
Okay.
but they think
At-
they could be at least Robeson.
At one point, some number of years ago, Al Seawald pointed out to one of the commissioners, I believe, that there were purge valves up in the ceiling in the attic, or on the floor as you walk around in the attic. And supposedly that's where the air, and I think he made, the commissioner at the time, I think he made them self-purging or something. So I'm not sure if they failed or if there's something newer on the market that might work better.
Well, they
for us.
do go bad.
Well, there
they
you
do
go.
fail.
Maybe
But
it's
he
sludging,
said-
like you said. for
he
the other
said-
pipes.
These were different, the one that feeds this.
Yeah.
Because if you were looking for it, you'd never see it, you know, unless you pointed it out. Yeah, and it was all painted over. and
You didn't know.
So
So
somebody
you
was
don't know.
just, you know, slapping paint on the pipes.
All right, good.
What else, Nancy?
To be honest, we had Fazinga Roofing come because we had a leak at the bottom of the stairway.
All right,
He came, they're gonna come when the weather gets a little bit warmer and seal that leak again. It's, some of the caulking, has gone bad and, you know, rotted.
Can I ask a question on that?
Mhm.
When he comes back, I don't know what's out on that. You're talking about the flattish roof over the stairs going up to the main.
Right over here, yeah.
Oh, right here. I'm sorry. Okay, I thought you were talking about the stairwell going up to the upstairs.
no, it's the
No?
one that keeps
The one
persisting
right
in the
here where
corner.
where the stair chair is. That's the roof
That's
that
what
we're
I'm
talking
right,
about,
that
yeah.
flat roof outside above
Yes.
that has been a problem for years. And I'm just wondering if it would make sense for us to ask him to pitch that roof so it drains out to that scupper out there and drains down to.
Actually, that's right where the problem is.
Yeah, so maybe we need
So
to.
he's gonna take care of it, 'cause
Yeah.
he was here actually looking when
Or
he
some
saw
kind of
the ice.
seal or a flashing, maybe?
Yeah, we'll ask him, but,
They're professionals.
Yep.
They did my roof, so.
But I mean, I don't see why they can't punch through and just put
Yeah.
a drain hole there.
Whatever.
he'll
Yeah,
take a look at it, but
whatever, it's
anyhow,
out.
we met with them. We spent a lot of time with Robeson, to be honest with you, and the new, vendors. I think that's about, we covered the main issue. Excuse me?
Window in the kitchen.
We have called numerous vendors, believe it or not, and, nobody seems to wanna do it. So if anybody has a name of, a glass repair person, we would appreciate it, but
Would
we're
they
on it.
entertain replacing the
The window,
whole window?
that's where we're at just about.
Fazinga replaces windows too, the FYI.
I asked Fazinga when he was here, he said no,
He did them at my house, so.
he won't do it here.
So
Because I asked, I brought them right in the kitchen.
there's an outfit down in Elmsford called Dave's Glass, I don't know. There used to be
Dave's
Koritsky up there, but I think they're
Oh,
out of
really?
business.
Is
I
that-
think they're out of business.
All right.
Mount Kisco Glass or something on
It's
Lexington.
This little
Okay.
window has been the,
thing.
yes, but yes, so we spent, quite a lot of time here. It was very, also just about cleaning out the kitchen. We did go to the camp, up off of Quaker, to ask them if they wanted to take some of the items that, we were going to, we wanted to donate them, and they did come and they did, meet with us, and, Jose was very helpful in doing all this as well. They did take some of the, dishes, et cetera, that we had there, so, we did our best to try to have the equipment up there reused. What could be donated or reused, we did our best to get that done.
Okay,
The
anything else
name
on
of,
house?
the name of the firm is Mitchell Oil.
I've seen them. I've seen them driving around.
Yeah, they're in
Okay.
Bedford Hills and
Yeah.
Danbury.
Anything else on house?
Huh?
Anything else on house? Okay, liaison, technology, anything? Nothing? You done?
That's all I have.
Okay, doke.
Speaking of liaison, you guys are aware that Jill Shapiro is retiring at the end of March.
Mhm.
Might be nice for the board to send something to acknowledge.
A letter, or what would you
I
recommend?
personally-
I'm sorry?
I personally sent her something already.
Okay,
For
what
the
do,
board?
what,
No,
no,
I- for
Okay, this is
What-
from the board.
what do you,
Something, you know, get a basket of fruit, a gift bag. I mean, it's stuff you would probably have to chip in yourselves because you don't have any
Yeah,
discretionary spending, but.
right.
Cause I mean, I'll send something from the chief staff of the department. She's been a huge help for us for everything from the tax breaks to the firefighters to, you know, it's definitely been one hand washes the other. So I think the board recognizing,
Yeah.
you know, in some fashion, you know, you guys can put your heads together, but I just think something would be appropriate to do.
Okay,
Maybe a gift certificate to the restaurant that had to be
No,
vacated
that's
during
not
her
what I
party.
meant. Like meant was better.
Okay, that's a thought.
okay. Commissioner Soldo,
Hey, turnout gear, full, you had, 41 Scott air packs serviced.
Yes, that's the biannual. They come in, they serve it, they test them, replace the batteries.
Replace the batteries and, replace, whatever parts
Yep.
they feel defective. That went good, and then,
And on turnout gear, Mike, the 10 sets of gear from last year are due to be shipped from the manufacturer February 28th. So we'll most likely, Katie, get a bill for that 53, 54, I forget the exact number, sometime in March, most likely. And then we'll start the process all over again.
that was,
did you have any air packs that failed or had to go servicing?
But that is something, when we get through with next door, we're going to look to have to replace at some point all of our air packs. These are older models, they still work, but they really can't be replaced. So we do keep the maintenance going with AAA coming to repair them, but the next generation of them are safer and it's something we should look to replace. The challenge is, as the chief, you really hate to have two different types of equipment that everybody's using. So it's bite the bullet and replace them all for $50,000-$60,000 at one time. And not do partial, because again, you know, picture you're in blackout conditions and somebody's having trouble, which air pack are they wearing? You know, trying to figure your way in the dark. So it's something we're keeping an eye on. It's nothing of urgency, but it's something we will have to address
No, to put it in the budget, I
in the
think.
not so, yeah.
oh, yeah, 26.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you looking favorably at the same brand or a different brand?
At this point, we haven't gone that far, just knowing that ours are functional. They're working really well. We keep very good care of them and for the amount of use they get with training and drills, but it is something we'll have to look into.
Yeah, okay.
And Mike, the other thing, and I'll take it out of turnout gear budget, we have 4 kids who are just starting firefighter 1.
Right.
The first half of firefighter 1, there really doesn't do much damage to their gear. The second half, the gear gets torn up, they're falling around on cement floors. So what we're doing, we'd like to do is, there's a company called, we used to be called Minerva, they were bought by somebody else. We can rent turnout gear for the kids to use. It gets torn, they replace it, they repair it. When the kids are done with firefighter 1, we turn it back into them, we don't have to worry about it. So If that means I can only purchase 8 full sets of gear this year, because I'm using $10,000 or whatever it is for renting gear, we're gonna do that. I think in the long run, it'll save us money.
Whatever you think is best. You ordered a stabilized plate for the hydraulic spreader?
Yeah, it's actually a little plate that goes on the ground so that you can put one tip of the hearse tool so it's secure to the ground and use yours to lift the car. Training and doing some work on it.
We actually trained on that, a week or so
Yeah,
ago.
the same night we did the Hycon, the new
Yes,
hydrant,
the rope. Yeah, the rope
Yeah.
thing, yeah, that was pretty nifty, pretty nifty.
And MES for you? Some service on the rescue tools?
the annual service on the hose tools.
Yeah,
That's all budgeted, you know, in the equipment repair category.
okay.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
That's it? Okay, Commissioner Zizzi, you're up.
Okay, house we already covered, insurance. I had another meeting with the New York State Insurance Fund. They went again through different parts of the building. Everything was fine. We're gonna meet again in 6 months. I met with Brian Nicolason, who is, taking Patty Nicolason's place. We, discussed the changes and the processing of applications in a more, efficient way. Technology, I guess, will come into play this time. He was very nice and very, very helpful. With regard to insurance, when I met with the New York State Insurance Fund, they highly recommended, I know we talked about it last month, commissioners and staff taking courses, training courses annually, regularly, maybe every 6 months. I did send an email out to the board. I did not hear back, so I took it upon myself to speak with the chief. And we're going to go with it is at a moderate cost with the rest of the department on taking training courses through, is it Target or Vector?
Vector Solution software is Target.
Target,
Yeah,
okay.
they're all one and the same.
So the users will be set up for the staff and the 3 commissioners that aren't firefighters, and courses will be assigned. You'll have, how long do you give the members? A month?
Well, we normally do, we launch it in January, they have till June 30th to.
To take
complete
them.
it.
Okay, so courses will be assigned. Though it's very clear cut, instructions are there, and you'll have a set amount of time to take the classes. Online, you can take it at your own speed. So that will be done, and it's recommended by all the insurance companies. Medical physicals were good. Legal contract and review, we have been reviewing contracts that we can find in the office for house-related work. We also have, as I mentioned before, the town of Mount Pleasant fire protection contract is up this year. I've already been in contact with Noreen McGinty, excuse me, and that will be done on time. And fire department liaisons working out well. We will speak to the members with regard to the changes that will take place in early March, just so they're aware. And don't have to hear it through the grapevine with regard to the crane going up, steel coming in, etc.
One of the other things that's been mentioned by a number of members, and I told them this is something that would have to be budgeted for. So some of them start to look into the potential of increasing the LoSAP benefit. And the other would be the cancer protection, the $25,000 cancer protection we currently offer is the.
Is
bare
the
minimum.
max. No. I'll check with Diane.
Right,
She told me that the policy that we have is, because we looked into that before. If it can be raised,
Or if there's a supplemental that we could purchase to add on top of it. It's just, I think when we've seen the couple members who have gone through it, and the payout has not been.
it's because of the level. I'll talk to
completely
you.
understood, but
Yeah.
if there's a way that we could supplement a little, I mean, because we're on the precipice of a number of people getting to that point where they might be looking to make a claim, and, you know, if it takes them out of contention for a period of time, or if they're a sole proprietor and stuff, if there's more that we could do,
Okay,
you know, I kind of feel we owe it to an extent, and if, you know, there's a way we could increase the LoSAP benefit, which I know that's a bigger issue, that has to go up for referendum.
That's a
and
referendum.
Stuff like that, but
right.
you know, raising from the $20 a month that's currently earned to whatever we could, I think would also be a good faith effort from a recruitment and retention perspective. as
Right.
well.
So definitely to increase the LoSAP monthly benefit, it is a mandatory referendum, so that requires a vote from the public. I'll get back to you on the cancer, benefits, and if we can get a supplemental, I'll get the pricing on it and definitely, and just to advise the board, we, did have another claim that we had to put in, unfortunately. So this is something that's extremely serious and we need to do whatever we can for the members here. It's becoming unfortunately, an occurrence that we do not want to see. But unfortunately it's happening.
And we can take it all one, but another thought on the supplemental. If it's cost prohibitive, but yet there's a way that we could offer a discounted rate to the members to contribute towards, I don't know, when I was younger, it used to be called a catastrophic health insurance type of a plan. Maybe there's something we could do where the board, the district covers some, and then the members could throw in a little for a little extra boost.
Okay, I
If they
will,
chose not to, that's their call.
right, I'll contact both the state and, our local carrier and find out what we can do for the members. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Old business, district policy discussions. Okay, so where are we? I mean, what has everybody decided about the policies you were going to review? We each took 5. Nancy was going to take a couple more at the existing policies that are in service. Does anybody have any comments about them? I sent a note and I apologize for sending it late. I sent a note out. It's minor things, word here and there, error, but those it's not substantive. So that can be addressed at another time, but does anybody have any questions about the 5 we each took?
I can honestly say the last 11 from the bottom up are fine, and the dates on that can be changed to January 1st of this year. That they were reviewed on that day and they are all sufficient, and most of them were new, that they were just done.
By and large, I have no real, as I say, substantive changes or recommendations. They're just, grammatical things here and there. So they can, I think, as far as I'm concerned, the 5 that I reviewed can stand. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the other, what was it, 3 that we had, the firearm policy? Mike, you want to talk to that?
Yeah, no, I did a draft and, I appreciate Paul's input, as far as carry on premise, which is not permitted unless I put a little A in there, a law enforcement officer, peace officer, authorized to possess such weapon according to state and federal law in the performance of their official duties and responsibilities. If God forbid they gotta come on to the premise for something, they're carrying. And then as far as possession on fire district grounds, that's where I took Paul's input. He wrote a nice paragraph as far as firearms are only allowed fire district property when they're safely stored away in employees, volunteers, officers, members, locked personal vehicles. In instance where the permit holder is allowed to use a fire district vehicle as a primary vehicle, chiefs, fire district will provide the appropriate means to secure the weapon in said vehicle. This accommodation is to secure weapons, and weapons are not to be stored for extended period of time in district vehicles. And I think that's a good one.
Okay.
So that's the only change to the actual policy that Mike Legori gave us his template. Yeah.
Yeah, did you have another one or you used his? You used the one that you distributed was.
That's the one I used, but
Okay.
Gina's gonna fix this for me
Okay.
and I don't know if I can do it now.
So the one thing we had to do is get lock boxes for the chief's vehicles.
Yes.
I just want to make a comment, and I was talking to Paul about this on the phone one day, that I was not generally in favor of the district supplying the lock boxes, but in thinking about it, it makes sense that we have a standard thing that we agree is the right thing to do with potential weapons. So I think it makes a lot of sense for us to be the one that provides the safe mechanism to secure it.
Yes.
I just want to bring one thing up. Now, you said it shouldn't be in the chief's truck for an extended period of time. I think you should define that, like what's an extended period of time?
Well, I guess
Well, the intent behind it was that doesn't take the place of your home safe.
Safe.
I'm just gonna lock it in my car.
Right, leave it overnight in the
Fire for
lockbox.
4 or 5 hours, it's gonna be locked in there for 4 or 5 hours. So the the tone of it was really to keep it from a permanent storage. Maybe that's just change the wording, shall not be used as a permanent storage location.
Yeah, that's
And I think
That
that,
makes more sense.
that should cover it.
Okay.
That's better.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? After hearing what Mike has come up with, I'm very much in favor of what he's got. Does anybody have any questions or comments, or we'd be willing to take a vote on it now?
I think we should take a vote on an agreement with what he has.
I am too. Would you bring that up as a motion?
I make a motion to approve the Newcastle Fire District #1 firearms policy as discussed tonight with the
Proposed changes.
with, right, with
Of course,
the,
is that gonna go out to the members for comments? The policy?
Before we put it into place, I believe we do that.
we have to vote on it
The way
first.
that it works, Barry, is that the district votes on the policy. Then we circulate to the members as they did the last
Yeah,
batch.
just wanna make sure.
And, but again, keep in mind that that's simply a courtesy. These are the district's policies. They can tell us to do whatever they want. So they're introducing it to us as a courtesy. My involvement, as cranky as I was about it, was a courtesy to help move the process along. So what we're gonna do is when everything is done, we're gonna create one PDF package of all of the policies with a sign-off sheet. So that everyone ought to acknowledge receipt of them. And anything that has not yet been circulated, I think most everything that Nancy has given me has been circulated to the department for comment, and I have gotten none.
Well, your
So-
code of ethics is the
Well, even that
exception.
one,
Right.
but nobody, when I reached out to everybody, a number of people called and squawked, send me your stuff in writing, we got nothing, so that's when we move forward with it as is,
Okay.
so.
So, you made the motion?
I've got
Do we have,
a few questions.
Barry?
Okay. All right.
Nancy made the motion. Do we have a second? Mike,
Can you repeat the motion? I'm sorry.
Oh, I made a motion to accept the
Accept.
Newcastle Fire District #1 firearms policy as presented tonight with the proposed change.
including the permanent.
Right,
District
right.
Provide lock boxes and shall not be
Right.
used as permanent.
Right.
storage.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Mike, on that topic, would you do some research and find out what's a good lockbox? Work with the chiefs
Sure.
and decide what mechanism will fit in their vehicles. They're big vehicles, but they also have big equipment in their vehicles, and find out what makes sense for those vehicles. Okay, all right? All right, all right, next policy.
The second one now we could do is the workplace violence policy, which has been presented a number of times. I just needed the firearms policy, which has now been approved, so I would like to make a motion to approve the Newcastle Fire District #1 workplace violence policy that was presented last month and the month before.
Would you like to make a motion?
Just did.
Okay, somebody would like to second that or a discussion on it?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so carried. Thank you, Nancy. And the third one, you said? We had a
Third one is, well, I have a quick one. It's just a records retention policy. The last one was done in 2015. I know, Mike, that you reviewed it.
Yeah.
However, there's just a change in the wording of the law. It's very quick. It's just LGS1. That's the records retention and disposition schedule. So if we could I distributed this to everybody. I don't know if you saw it. I would like to adopt this Newcastle Fire District #1 records retention policy with the wording change.
Can you just read out the wording here?
The wording change is, well, I'll read one of them.
Yeah.
Only those records will be disposed of that are described in the records retention and disposition schedule LGS1 after they have met the minimum retention periods described therein. That's the change.
That was the majority of the change that
Yeah.
you wanted to talk about?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, somebody want to make a motion or have discussion on that? No, the policy?
I make a motion that we adopt Newcastle Fire District #1 records retention policy with the change as just described.
Okay,
I'll second that.
all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so carried. Okay,
And then the next one is the purchasing and procurement policy, which, I mean, I don't know where we left off with that. There is no new policy on the website. I know, Mike, you went down to the town and looked at it, but it had a lot of green wording to it, which really we could not comply
Right.
with. So it was the dollar amounts that were in question with regard to what the limits were going to be for the district. Again, this policy's been distributed a couple of times, so I myself am not sure where exactly we left off, but we need to, especially with what's going on, we need to get a new one adopted, ASAP.
Anybody have
Makes
any
it- If
comments?
it makes it any easier, the new policy includes purchasing, utilizing piggyback purchases, which means another agency already did the bidding, they already have a contract in place and we can purchase off of their contract. Purchasing from Corecraft, which is Department of Corrections, which we always could before, but it spells it out. It's a little more detailed than the older purchasing agreement that's currently on the site. It allows for public works contracts, et cetera. So if you want to take I don't know, if you want to, we need to get it something in place.
Okay, so let me ask you this. It's gonna be a little tough to review it
I
right
mean, I
now.
don't know if it, if
I did read this. I was a little unsure about the pricing here, I'm just looking at
that's
it for
the
the first.
dollar amounts, exactly.
It just seemed like the numbers were quite large. I don't know. Obviously I don't have mine right in front of me. I'm looking for it, but I don't have it right in front of me. Does anybody have any questions or comments based upon what Nancy's just said? Is that,
I mean, we could adopt the policy and then always change the threshold
Yep.
amounts. If you feel that they need to go up or down, we could use input from the treasurer, but, we need to get a new policy. in
here,
place.
What are the thresholds?
Yeah, honestly, you had asked me for input, but it's a little bit out of my depth.
Okay, so we'll make a decision. For purchase contracts, they're different. If it's under $100, there's no specific procedure. 100 to 499, 1 to 3 verbal quotes, and then it goes from there.
I believe the town has a $3,000 cap. Anything $3,000 and under, you don't need to go out to bid or get quotes for. Anything over $3,000, you need to go for a minimum of 2 or 3, I don't remember.
Did you get a copy of this?
But I believe 3,000 was the, I know 3,000 is the limit.
Anything under 3,
Anything like
Well,
3,000,
on ours, we have 500, 2,500, 3 verbal quotes,
right?
and then 25 to 10, 3 written quotes. And then 10 to 20, more than 3 written. And then, yeah,
again, I believe just from working for the town, I believe it's $3,000, they don't need a quote. I mean, especially for us, if we need an emergency item, we could blow $3,000 easy.
right.
So I think that's where their mark is 3,000.
I agree with Mike saying, as far as like under 100, nothing, it should be under 3,000, nothing.
Yeah, but I know there's like, if you go 3,025 cents, like you need to get quotes. So I've purchased stuff for them where I literally had to take like a bag off of a pallet to be under $3,000.
Right,
So what if we approve this policy and we just get we could change,
clarify the numbers.
clarify the numbers as discussed tonight, and
well,
then,
is 2,500 a good number, or do we want to go with what the town has is 2,500, 3,000?
3,000.
3,000 you think is better than 2,500?
I mean, again, $3,000 I know is, I think, the threshold that they use.
Mhm.
Of course, like, if you can get it cheaper, then that's fine.
Mhm.
A lot of the stuff that we use here is kind of vendor specific and
I mean, I think it's a benefit to say that we're in compliance with town policy too. Or we're equal to town policy.
so
in
we
terms of
could
their
say
purchase
for
orders.
purchase contracts below $20,000, 3,000, there's no specific procedure.
Right.
And then 3,001 to 10,000, 3 written quotes, 1001 to 19,999.
I have the towns right here if you want me to read the scale.
Yeah, could you?
All right, up to $2,999.99, one written quote required. 3,000 to 999.99, written quote, 2. 10,000 to 19,999, 3 written quotes, over 20,000. Town board approval required via resolution. Guidelines for public works contracts, this is where I think Mike was. So yeah, that was for purchase contracts. It looks like it's the same for public works contracts and professional services. Over 10,000, you need a formal RFP or RFQ.
Over what, 10,000?
For professional services, you need a formal RFP process.
Well, then I guess this isn't gonna go tonight, because we need to work on it.
Yeah, I'll send this to everybody.
So procurement, we're gonna put that one off till next month.
Or suggestion that you vote to accept the policy as written, and you're going to utilize the same scale of, contract or the same thresholds as in the town of Newcastle. And so you can pass it tonight, and you can always refer back to the town of Newcastle. If they change their dollar limits, your dollar limit change. Theirs stay static, yours stay static, and you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel.
What do you think about that?
Lawyer.
You wanna hold it off? You know, our
No,
next meeting?
let
or-
us get it in place, because it's been hanging for too long.
Okay, so make a motion and we'll see if what the board wants to do.
I make a motion to accept the Newcastle Fire District #1 procurement policy with, as submitted tonight, with, what did you say, Paul, with the,
I said,
In line.
mirroring the dollar threshold of the town of Newcastle procurement policy.
that sounds good, we'll do that. I will, insert that information in here and distribute it to the board. Thank you.
Okay, that's a motion.
Yes, that's the
Okay.
motion.
Second on Nancy's motion, please.
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, thank you.
The only other one is the investment policy, which is a little detailed. I did distribute it. But really should take some time to digest it and discuss it.
Well,
Unless
there's-
unless somebody's willing to make a motion now.
Well, I don't want to make a motion without changes. Right now, I was looking at section V, or 5, I guess it is, Roman numeral 5. There's an underlined section here, and I don't understand why it has to be underlined. Nothing else was underlined. Transactions are executed in accordance with the board authorization, which I don't know why it has to be underlined.
Maybe somebody thought it was important.
It is important, but
Maybe
Not
that's.
The
what
whole thing is important.
of course, that's all- yeah, underline the whole thing.
More likely, somebody probably amended it at one point, underlined
Yeah.
it to show you with an added feature.
As opposed to red line.
Or maybe they had a
Yeah,
problem with that
okay.
particular
Maybe.
procedure.
And the other thing that I noticed is designation of district depositories, and that's all blank. So what we ought to do is get them
The bank.
filled in,
information. Yeah,
and then we can obviously, I mean, we could approve this with removing the underline if everybody thinks that's okay. We can also say, we can approve it pending depository names to be inserted.
Monetary amounts.
Well, it's
Yeah.
asking
Or you
for
could take that out of the-
depository name and maximum amount set. That's what it said. And then on section 15, which is a minor thing, I thought there should be a word, the word "the" inserted in the last sentence. It says, agreements and transactions shall be recorded in the minutes of meeting. And I think we should say of the meeting at which it was given. So those are my 3 recommendations. So if anybody wants to make a motion on that, I think we can approve it pending depository information.
I'm sorry, you were in, said section 15?
Yeah, the last section is 5 XV,
Yeah.
but not the last, I'm sorry, XV. Electronic banking. So the last sentence, there's a word "the," it should be inserted.
Okay, right here.
Yeah, right. So I just put the word "the." And that's pretty minor stuff. I have a question. Can you look at the first, item one? At the last end of the last sentence there, it says, investment of it by the fire district on its own behalf and unquestioning or on behalf of any other entity or individual. I'm not sure why we would be investing on behalf of any other individual or entity.
I don't think an individual should be there at all.
Yeah, it just seems a little, go ahead, Maria. It just seems like,
From the perspective that somebody on the board wants to piggyback on your investment, and says, oh, I'll just put $1,000 into an investment fund. It's really to protect you that there's no investments that you're controlling or touching other than district funds. So I would leave that in so that it's clear that you've got a policy that nobody is giving you money or investing anything other than district money.
all right, I didn't read into
Yeah, I
that.
think it's okay.
You think it is?
Yeah,
Okay,
that
all
makes
right.
sense.
So I,
Look at it from the perspective, you're adding extra protection for yourself. Not that, well, I can't imagine that are happening. Ponzi schemes, all these weird
No.
things that have happened over time. All you need is somebody to unscrupulously say, you know, I got this $5,000 check. I don't want to put it in the bank. I'm just gonna put it here for now. Oh, that sounds real innocent.
you think we should leave it in? Okay, all right,
I
so I,
don't see anything wrong with it.
okay.
And I think, yeah, according to, Paul's right.
All right, so I withdraw my question on that. All right, so my three changes then are remove the underline in section V or 5. Add in section 7, the depository name and a maximum amount set. That would be added by Katie to our document. And then the last question that I had was in section 15. I'm just saying we should add the word the for grammatical purposes, and that's it. Other than that, I'm fine with it. Anybody have any other questions or recommendations? All right, so somebody want to make a motion on this one then, with those, if you don't mind?
Okay, I make a motion, Newcastle Fire District number 1 investment policy be approved as submitted this evening with the changes,
Enumerated?
set forth by the chairman, remove the underlining, and I lost the part. Remove underlining in section 6. Insert the name of the depository with maximum amount set in section 7 and add the word the in section 15.
So it reads, record, blah, 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 recorded in the minutes of the meeting at which it was given.
Right, under electronic banking, the last sentence of the first paragraph.
Right, and that was a motion, so maybe we have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye with those recommendations, obviously. Okay, all those opposed? Okay, okay.
Okay, so tonight we approved the investment policy, records retention, workplace violence, firearms, and purchasing and procurement policies.
Chief Desi,
Any more?
did you send that information on the other auction place?
I sent it to you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll look at
Your Newcastle.
NCFD 1. Thank you, sir.
Now, if I recall, of all those policies, there were like 6 or 8 or maybe even 10 that were applying really just to the board, that they don't have like the procurement policy, the investment policy. Can we create one PDF document of the membership facing policies with the sign off sheet so that one packet, even the ones we've already distribute them once again to get an initial sign off from everybody and be done?
If someone tells me there's one that I want them to do, I'm happy to create it.
So Nancy, I'll work with you on that, then we'll identify the ones that are membership facing versus board facing. And then we'll give Christine the list, and when everything's formatted, then we can go in and just create one PDF document and I'll distribute it to the membership for everything
Okay,
with the sign off sheet that you created.
okay, sounds good.
Okay. Anybody have any other comments on the policies right now?
Does 30 days need to lapse for these, for the membership like the previous ones?
Well,
Last time it was
Of
30
those, there's
days.
only one that's membership facing, which is the
Firearm.
fire policy, so.
And workplace violence, I think.
Workplace violence should go
Yeah,
to them
workplace.
too.
So Christine, when you get a chance, after you make Mike's changes, if you want to send the, as a PDF, because I don't want anybody to make changes, then I'll distribute it, give them the 30 days, and then, but again, it's already been adopted by the board. This is just a courtesy
Yep.
comment.
okay. Anything else on policies from the board?
Kind of tangentially to it. As you and Charles were aware, the companies are discussing a merger consolidation of the companies. At some point, they are going to need to speak with Michael Gorey, because we're going to have the department rules and regulations, which is what the district mandates. Then there'll be bylaws for the new entity. I'm assuming we need to make sure that we're doing everything properly, so there's probably gonna need to be a conversation or an email sent to Mike Legori. How do you want that handled vis-a-vis the concern we have with expenses with lawyers and, you know, the second he picks up the phone, the sand timer gets turned over and,
Yeah.
you know, how do you want to do that? You don't have to give me an answer now, but it's something that will be, I would say, pretty imminent, because they're moving along pretty quickly with this merger.
If I can just chime in on that, there are two different legal line items. One for the project, that's the one that's so far over budget. And then we still have a legal budget for our main operating account.
Yeah.
So that's a typical question we should ask them. I
Okay.
don't think we should be shy.
Before I do, I'll reach out to, just get clearance for me to reach out to him. I'll try to contain how many times we go to him, because I don't want to run up a huge tab on what should be a simple exercise. And I'm trying not to insert myself in the project, because that is the department's project, but I want to control how many times we go to Mike. So I'll coordinate with you when it's okay to reach out to him. That's all
Sounds
right.
good. If you want to send me an email, or are you gonna call him on the phone? Which,
I don't even know what we're
Okay.
gonna need yet.
why don't you start off by sending him an email just to get him up to speed on what you
Then
want,
call
and
him when he
then,
doesn't answer
yeah,
the
and see
email,
what he,
we get double
maybe
billed.
he'll come back to you. And if you don't mind, maybe you can send the board the email that you send to him, so we are all on the same page. And the department, correct me if I'm wrong, the department has yet to vote as three separate
Correct.
companies to join
Correct.
together as one. So it's imminent in my book, in my feeling, but it hasn't happened yet. So certainly within this year, it might happen.
I think you're optimistic that's going to happen within the next couple months.
Yeah, I don't,
No,
I don't,
it's-
it's in the next year, within the year. Yeah, I agree. Okay, any project updates? Anybody wants to make any comments about? I think we already discussed that. We're gonna do the newsletter to the local population. We're gonna put it in the newsletter that we send to the town, so it will be disseminated widely. Anybody have any comments on that? Okay, the rear parking lights is an item on the agenda, so I'll be frank, I don't see a difference in two of the lights. Supposedly there were two lights that were dimmed, or were they all five dimmed?
Just two.
Just two. For the life of me, I don't see it, but I'm not gonna argue.
So the intensity of the light
Yeah.
was dimmed.
Yeah,
Which means it doesn't throw as far as it used to,
okay.
but it's still enough to cover the.
Yeah, it certainly does, but at night, I was out there weeks ago, and I looked at them. I didn't see a difference. That's just me.
Like I said, the intensity of the light changed.
Okay, but if it was just two, I
That
would
means it
expect,
doesn't
From Mr. Call.
throw.
There was none.
I would have expected to see a difference in intensity looking at the five together, but I didn't see the
I guess he
a
said.
difference in the intensity of any of them, but that's just my poor eyes, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay,
By the way,
Yeah.
I was at town hall to talk to Tom Cole about the loft in the mechanics room. Tom brought up he had received a visit from Mr. Carlock regarding the lights in the back. Tom was going to reach out to you, Dwight,
not yet.
to have a conversation. Maybe you could, just to clarify,
Mhm.
that Tom was on board with the lights are okay. There's not so much of an issue. There will be a building up in the way that will be blocking them. And it sounds like with steel and cement being poured in the not so distant future. And that because of the safety issue, not so much of the firefighters responding at night, which he said is a huge concern. He did not want the lights dimmed because of the precipice that you fall off of if somebody drives through that fence in the middle of the night into the construction site. That was his number one concern, is the safety of the construction site and the bit of illumination that is provided in the transitional space between the parking lot and there.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion on the lights? Okay, new business.
I just have old though. I did send out an email regarding file cabinets for the
Yeah.
project files.
I thought it was a good idea. I believe I
Right, so you
replied.
said two drawer, Christine, is that good for you? Two drawer?
Where are they going?
I don't know, that's my
Okay.
next question.
Over there somewhere.
It's over there. And once they're there, then we can make progress of putting all the project documents, according to Mike Legori, should be in a file cabinet in the office.
I think two,
Two is probably.
Yeah.
better for moving first.
exactly,
Yeah.
that was my thought
And
exactly.
well, my next question was, if you're gonna put a backflow, am I correct?
No,
No?
well, we're gonna put a backflow, but I think it's small enough for the 2.5 inch.
Where's it going, in that office?
The 1 inch, I'm so sorry. No, it's gonna go downstairs.
Okay, cause,
So it will be piped out. This is the last I remember. The 2.5 inch backflow device would have had to go out here to flow outside because of the larger volume. That's what I'm told. I think Charlie pointed out, or Chief pointed out, somebody said that we could potentially put it in used to be the old radio room, now it's the Bristol closet, but it's behind
Well,
one five.
we went around
Yeah.
to numerous sites around the building that, you know, they were able to go outside, and also the location of the pipe coming in that needs to be, that has to have the backflow preventer on it. So you're looking at not only where it dumps to, but also where the location of that pipe is. And it's kind of like right below us.
It's actually over in the corner. When you walk in the basement, you come this way and it's over there. The water comes in over there. Water meter's up against that wall in the basement.
Yeah, but I don't know where that pipe is.
It goes out the wall, or I think it goes out to Bedford Road, straight out the wall, as I recall. But it's in this vicinity under this building, under
Okay.
this room.
Okay,
That patch.
you might know better than I do.
Is where it connects to,
I'm sorry?
the blacktop patch that's on 117.
Okay.
Is where that.
Okay. Okay.
But the short answer to your question, Nancy, is not coming through the closet.
okay,
Yeah.
that was my next question. That's all I wanted to know,
Yeah,
because
no.
if those files are gonna have to be moved, then we're gonna have to think of something else.
Yeah, that would have been,
Plus, if there was a water issue and, potential.
Yeah.
We'd have to think of something. So we'll order a 2-drawer file cabinet over there, then you can start putting the, project files in there.
and it'll be like these, similar?
Yeah, we'll do similar to
good.
this. And also the old files in there could be boxed up. 'cause
Bell
we have the
Office
boxes.
Furniture is the one that provided these two.
Wasn't it?
Included?
Bell Office Furniture is
Bell,
the one that
okay.
provided these two.
And then the old files can certainly be back boxed up, and you can put them in the basement where the other ones are, and it'll give you more space over there. So
Okay,
we'll get on that.
talking about that, this is not really old business, but it kind of is. I would be interested in finding out how much it would cost to digitize some of our ancient files or even if we don't digitize them, even if we store them off-site someplace in one of these places like the Iron Mountain Company. They just store the stuff, you give them a week or two, whatever, and they will bring it back to you.
Some of those places also offer digital.
Digitized. Yeah, they
I mean,
do.
you gotta pay for
Sure.
it, but somebody will sit there and run them through and,
Yep.
give you.
So
The state archives grant funding is now open for that project.
state grant funding for that kind of thing? Awesome, okay. All right, that sounds good. Does anybody have a problem if we were to digitize some of the ancient stuff? Not so much
No, just
like the votes and all that, but
to give you space.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's in the basement. It's not a nice place to
Well, there's
keep.
a lot in there too.
I know, yeah, would make room for it.
As long as they're organized properly and you could sort and search.
Mhm.
They're usually OCR, so you can type a.
I'm sorry?
They're usually
Optical
OCR,
character.
so you can type a keyword and.
Okay, yep.
Okay. All right, do you have any contacts? Do you do any of this online storage or offline, off-site storage? Can you give us, what's that?
Laserfish through general code.
Never heard of that. Okay, could you send us an email in the next couple of days, week, whatever, and give us some idea of what we're talking about
The
money
grant
wise?
It has a lot of requirements, just so everybody's aware.
All
Do
right,
you know what the costs are associated with that? Is it like,
It's very expensive,
yeah.
so a grant would be the best option.
very expensive as in like thousands and thousands? And, okay, well, maybe we're barking up the
The
wrong.
basement might be a better. place.
Yeah, but a dehumidifier and we're done.
I know, but it's also, if you store things at Iron Mountain, you're gonna pay for the
Recurring,
storage.
yeah,
It's a recurring cost
I would-
where if you do it once,
I would much prefer to see it digitized.
People go more
Even
toward
drop
cloud
cards cost
space.
money though too.
But that,
Even digital, it costs money too though.
well, if somebody else does it, yeah, but now we have this nice little
No,
ongoing
actual cloud
storage, like
so many
Dropbox.
terabytes cost that
Yeah.
Okay,
over a period of time. And keep in mind too, you know, from a financial perspective, you're going to have empty space upstairs when we move into the new building, so you can put archive files, store them in what is now the current chief's room, you know, so look longer term as far as trying to be penny wise and pound foolish, and yes, the files are not in a very nice place right now, but wait to see what you've got as far as storage. You may not need to move them offsite.
we have maybe 25% of what's in the basement up in the attic as well.
Sure. But
So
again.
there's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot, but
Yeah.
he's also going to have.
Yeah,
space
no
to
argument,
move
no
to the
argument.
other-
Yeah, I figured if we could digitize it, put it on the server or put it on a hard drive or something, cloud, if it's not too pricey, yeah, I just think we should start looking into it. I mean, that's the way of the world, you know, digitizing everything as much as we can. Okay, new business, change orders. Anybody have any old business they want to discuss before we move on? Okay. We have two change orders, I'm sorry, we have a change order in front of us. It's from Key Construction Services. I'm a little confused by it. I read it this evening, and it looks like it's talking about changing the color and materials for the masonry veneer. Ed, I think you made a comment to him. What's your comment about that?
Okay, the dark color, I'm okay with that, but you saw the picture that
Yeah.
he sent.
Yeah.
That doesn't
It's very,
jive with what we expected it to be.
the artist's rendition is lighter, and it also looks like there's if I'm not mistaken, I don't have a picture here, but it looks like there's a setback from say, the radio room window and going up to the roof.
Yeah,
It looks like the next set of windows are set back a ways, as opposed to his rendition that he showed today.
absolutely, and windows that were open are now blocked.
Yeah.
So
We need to
I
talk
wanted
to
to speak to you at the end of the meeting about that, and was, we just got that today.
Yeah, I
but
didn't,
Something doesn't
yeah,
seem
was the
right.
board CC'd on that? I think the board was CC'd on that, right?
I think so.
Okay, so I'm not real in favor of it. I think
No.
if we don't have to vote on this right now, I
Yeah.
just assume put it off. But it's a change from, it seems to be a change from the artist's rendition that we've all.
Is it a
grown up
change
with.
in color or structure?
Color and structure, it looks like. I don't think we can do
No.
it without, I mean, I think what we ought to do is talk to Joe as well
Yeah.
and find out.
say it's an aesthetic change.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I like it. It's darker than I would have liked.
No,
Darker masonry.
we want everything to match.
Well, there's no brick over the radio room area and that stuff. It's like more metal and a dark color, but not as dark as what they showed us in the rendition today. So I think what we need to do is talk to Joe and maybe the architect and find out where's this coming from. It seems like it's out of left field. And they're asking us, I saw a price discrepancy here on the front page. It shows 3213.00. And on the second page, same company, 3212.55. So there's a little discrepancy. And I don't know what OH and P stands for.
And why would they ask us to pay if they're making a change?
So we need to
I
ask
mean,
about
that the board, if the board doesn't approve of it, why would we pay for that?
it. We have to find out where this is coming from. It just
Yeah.
came today. I don't
I
understand.
guess, like you said, Joe Reddy and the architect needs to.
Yeah, we need to talk to them and get an understanding of what they're talking about here. Okay. Change orders, I think we'll postpone this one. All right, so resolution to participate in volunteer firefighter stipend program. Nancy, would you like to speak to this?
Yes, I will. So the state of New York, in order to entice and encourage and maintain volunteers, came up with a stipend program for members taking classes, certain classes at the state level. So they're state certified courses when at the end you get a state certification. They have a set criteria of what the Office of Department of Emergency Services in Albany will pay. Office of Fire Prevention and Control, sorry. They will pay the student, for example, in this case, it's gonna be Paul and John Maduris. They'll be the most recent ones, because they're taking some of the classes that are listed in this resolution, a set amount. It comes out of the state budget. The courses that I have listed here, this is the corresponding amounts that the state will pay. Any other state course that's not listed in this resolution, the district once this is passed, will pay for that student up to a certain amount. It will be up in this particular case to the chief to make a determination, the chiefs to make a determination, but whatever the reimbursement is from the local level, from the district, for a course that's not listed in this resolution here, cannot exceed a course of, equal, training time or equal, how do you say it, material, course
And-
material
and
covered?
Basically, the firefighter one and fire officer one, New York State will reimburse firefighter one up to $2,000 if you take both portions.
Right.
And fire officer one, they $1,000. For all the other state classes, they set a max, I believe, of $700 is the maximum you can
$750?
pay out for a class. And what we did, we discussed, it didn't make sense if somebody takes a classroom-based course, that the stipend they would receive would be the same as someone taking a physical exertion course, like a fast team or something such as that. So we created tiers of it, particularly because the state has gone to broken up classes into an awareness, an operations, and a technician level, starting from bottom going highest. So I believe, setting up a table where that for an awareness level will reimburse a person $150, up to $300 for a operations level. Technician gets the whole ball of wax. If funds are available, if someone suddenly starts cranking out classes in December, and we've run out of budget for the year, that's, unfortunate, but that's how it'll be. But also, it's not going to be payable instantaneously to a person completing the course, because we want to make sure that a person is doing this for the betterment of themselves as a firefighter and not just taking it to cash out, for lack of a better
Well,
description.
that's why we built in there at the chief's discretion,
Yeah.
because you can have a firefighter one graduate and then give him the money, and then
And
2 months
back.
later he leaves, which happens.
And it is taxable. New York
Right.
State will generate a W-2. We will also need to generate a W-2 for anyone that we pay the stipend to for the New York State classes.
So it is a good incentive. As I said, the courses that are listed in the resolution are courses that the district has no monetary expenditure in at all. Most of our people here have taken these classes, and unfortunately, they took it prior to September of 2023. The way the resolution in the state, the way the wording is written in the state is you have to take, you take these classes after August 31st of 2023. Why they didn't put September 1st, I don't know.
I
But
think there was actually a firefighter one class that was currently ongoing that was going to complete after the 31st, and they were allowing that one to be
Oh.
included in the statute.
But overall, this is a great retention tool. It's a good tool to use as an incentive to have firefighters take these classes to become officers. Again, as I said, we left the second part up to the chief's discretion as to how much they would like to determine what the stipend should be for the extra classes that someone might take. Again, based upon the different levels that someone would have to go through to take them.
But those amounts will be the same.
It'll be the same per class.
Right,
It's not, it'll vary, and in theory, everyone who takes it is going to get it pending that there is money still left in the training budget,
right.
and they successfully pass it. Most of the certificates you get from these classes are geared towards you showed up, here's a certificate. They're moving it more towards you actually have to pass the aspects of it. So if you do not get a state certificate for the class, you don't get the stipend.
Correct, and it's not gonna be offered, no reimbursement will be made for the courses taken at the local level. So courses coming out of the county are not eligible for this stipend. As I said, you must come out with a state certification. And this all can change from year to year, so
Yeah, I mean, this very possibly New York State's gonna run out of money where it's not going to be able to cover the firefighter one or fire officer one any longer. I
Right.
mean, like, if you think about it, each year, Westchester itself runs probably 75 people at a minimum
Oh, I
through
took it out.
firefighter one. There are 3 different classes, each, if not more. So I mean, that's just Westchester. You know, there's 60 other counties across the state who are running similar classes, so it's gonna get tapped out soon.
They did 6 or 7 classes last year.
That many, huh?
And that's why they said it's on a first come, first served basis, which you also have to keep in mind, as Paul said, if you have, you know, kids coming out or anybody coming out of firefighter one, and we put the forms in and then they never show up again, they get their money, and then, you know, you don't even get 6 months of service out of them. So that's something that the chiefs will make the determination on, if it's somebody who's really someone who you feel is gonna be of value here, and you hope all of them are. You don't wanna offer the stipend right as soon as they put their boots on. So again, that's at the discretion of the chiefs, but I would like to have this resolution passed by the board. Not only as a training incentive, as an incentive to keep volunteers active, give them something to work toward. And it's a good tool, as you said, a good retaining tool.
And I think that's a good motion, right? Is that your motion?
Sure.
Okay. I'd like to hear a second on that. All those in favor? I'm sorry.
I second that.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so carried. Very good, excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yep, that was a good one. Okay. Anything else on the stipend program?
No, we will keep it updated as things change.
Okay. The only thing I think I might have mentioned, I'm not sure. Did I send you an email about that? I think I did. Did you ask a question?
I took it off.
Yeah. So I think I had a question about, is there a website that we can go to, or members can go to see what courses are there that we could include here, or would it make no sense to
No,
put the
because it's
website here?
constantly changing.
It's-
And
yeah.
the state is constantly reworking, as I mentioned, changing, breaking up EVOC, for instance, emergency vehicle extrication, and taking that into 3 levels now. An awareness, an operational, and a technician level.
Okay.
They're constantly changing, and they're behind some of the NFPA standards, so we constantly be updated.
Okay, I was just thinking that if we had a link to the list of courses, not so much the content of the courses.
I think
Okay,
you
it's
could,
okay, it's fine.
Unless
just a
you'd
thought.
like me to add that to your list of things that you can tackle and do.
yeah,
Everyone gets a notice, every single class that comes out.
Yep.
You and Charles see it as
Yep, yep.
firefighters,
Mhm.
that we share everything that comes out,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
instant it comes out.
Okay.
And we're able to get people in classes all the time. And, you know, I think from that perspective, I also don't want I want it to be an incentive, but I don't want it to be the reason that somebody does it. You know, if somebody's weighing and saying, you know, I really can't because of work, that's fine, you know, that's a perfect,
yeah.
but if somebody wants to be an officer and they're willing to now throw in all this amount of time that's gonna be needed, I mean, there's a reason I'm taking a 53-hour class now, to be able to meet the OSHA requirements, to be an officer. Well, then, hey, I appreciate the sacrifice you're making by doing this. You know, we'd like to help you,
Mhm.
you know, for taking this class or spending all day Saturday hauling somebody up and down stairs because you're practicing fast. It's, you know, I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah,
You can
Okay.
log onto the LMS website, and those are all state-run courses.
Yep.
Every single course on the
Okay.
LMS is a state-run.
and that's a link that you have a username and password to get into, right?
That's
It's your
what you need
training
to
account.
sign up for the state, yeah.
Right.
Which everybody
Should have.
has one, and if you don't have one,
Yeah.
you can.
We'll
Okay.
get you set up.
Okay, anything else regarding that? No?
but Paul, are you interested in the hero?
I've shared it with, the college kids.
Not interested?
And I haven't heard anything back from them, you know, and I've pushed, we've got one very active college student, one who's kind of waning on us. And I've pushed Kieran a couple of times, he said he was gonna look into it, so.
Well, if you need help with it, let me know. I mean, that's a good bonus for their
I'll-
tuition.
No, I share with them too, because you get all the, this time of year, you're getting all these scholarships from FASNY,
Yeah.
from NICEC and all those, I share them with them all to make sure they're taking advantage of.
Is that a fixed amount or is it,
It's $6,000 a year. It's $3,000.
why not?
That's what I'm saying. I can't
And
believe that
was
they're
the
not
new
interested.
DES commissioner's pet project, so hopefully it'll stay around for a while.
Yeah,
That was, Susan, what's her name, when she was the deputy, that was her
mhm.
big pat on the back.
Well, the money's still there, so if people want to do it, it's
Yeah,
1,
I'll
2,
reach
3.
out
I'll
to
help them
Kieran
with it.
tonight and just give them a quote.
Okay, okay, all right, moving on. Public comments, do we have public comments?
Nope.
Okay, no public comments, okay, future dates, unless anybody has anything else they want to talk about.
Just getting back to what Kyle sent us this afternoon. Did you see the email that I sent out to the board and to Kyle? Showing what I believe Wendell designed and how they came up with this other design that. Yeah, it just, where's this coming from?
I saw it late in the afternoon because I was otherwise occupied during the last half of the day, so I didn't really digest it. Does anybody, you sent it to the board,
I did.
so does anybody have any comments about what Ed said
I
out
didn't, haven't
regarding?
seen it yet.
Okay. All right,
I
so
quickly saw
I
it.
think what we ought to, as a board, we ought to talk to the architect. The whole design team and find out where is this coming from, this.
Yeah, well, you
Well,
know,
it looks like if you read the email, it says there was an error. So the color that is shown in the original drawing would be an upcharge. So you'd be paying more to get what you wanted than this change order.
All right, because I don't have it committed to memory yet, does it say in the email that this was approved or that was approved and we have to pay money to get it approved? Or to get back into the approval area?
No.
No, he's saying it's gonna cost you more money to get what was originally approved.
Approved, that's, okay,
Yeah,
that's
because
not
it's a
cool.
special color where there's an upcharge.
So
So
there's a $3,200 savings if you approve the change request.
it might be more than that. We don't know what it
Yeah,
would
but from
cost.
what, the
Yeah.
number that you were kicking around before.
yeah, the color is one thing, the design is something else.
Yeah.
That's
But
what.
did
he
the
said.
town
did
approved
you
it,
read
didn't it?
that? He said it's necessary. The parapet is connecting the two roofs.
Yeah, he's talking about it's essentially a firewall between the old and the expansion that we're building. That's new on the drawing. I had not seen that before, so I can understand that was an oversight, but looks like it's coming back on us to.
And it looks like a pretty dark corner to begin
know,
with.
it's
Why would you
dark.
put
Like the-
darker
It's.
bricks
Like
in a
Mike has
dark corner?
The only good thing about that color is that the sun rises over here and it goes that way, so this will be in the sun most of the day. But this is the parapet he's talking about, or
Yeah.
okay,
But,
So-
but you know what I mean, like even.
it's dark.
It is. And did the
Yeah.
town approve these plans and the company?
But
No.
That
the
was-
I
company,
mean, I understand like the concept of like having a contrast there just to, but
that's ridiculous.
No.
I mean, but it's not, it just doesn't fit there.
No, it does not.
So I think what we have to
It's not
do is,
what was approved by the planning board.
we have to see
Exactly.
what was
That's what it
approved,
sounded
and if
like.
we can get away with not having to pay $3,300 to get a darker shade. I don't know if it's gonna take a town board vote or something, but we really,
Why can't you just, I understand what they're saying, but if the board wants to stay with what was
It's
approved,
gonna
then we
be
should.
more expensive than $3,200 because
Sure.
it's a special color
Yep.
that has an upcharge.
yeah, and I guess let's get some clarification on this and we'll have to
That's
come back.
why the change order came to save us money. Just to be clear.
But I would actually.
would fight that.
Decide to stick with it, I would push back and
Yeah.
say, sorry, you guys screwed up. We're not paying extra for it. This is what we approved.
100%.
And the
That's
town
what I
approved.
think the conversation should
Yeah.
be as
Right.
opposed
Right.
to.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah, right.
And the physical changes too. I see what you mean, Ed, like that third window.
Second, the first and second floor.
Well, that's quite the nice design that Ed put
Oh,
forth a
no,
couple
it is
years
not.
ago.
I'm seeing
I
some of
mean,
the
you want
attachments.
what you approved.
Absolutely, it needs to be challenged, but
Okay.
read the email.
All right, I have to read it again. I'm sorry I didn't digest it. I was,
Yeah.
Well, we
Not-
could talk further about
all
it.
right, okay. All right, future dates. A project special meeting will be held on March 10, 2025 at 6 P.M. The next regular meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, March 19th, 2025. Is that correct? March 19th?
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. At 6:30 P.M. Email any questions and concerns for the board's consideration for any meeting to BOFC@ncfd1.org. Is there any other business before we adjourn or call for an adjournment? Okay, would somebody like to make
I
a
make a
motion?
motion, we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
You second that? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
I-
All those opposed, have a good evening. See you soon.